Okay, so we got the new setup here, and I hope nothing catches on fire. But hi guys, I'm Theo, and I wanted to just start another video about art, and I figured that there would be like I could tackle a nice little tutorial on how I do furry heads or busts, and kind of just show my process for exactly what I'm trying to think about when I'm just starting with the head of a figure or just like a badge or something, because I feel like when you're starting off just in art, doing full body work can kind of be intimidating, especially if you don't have the know-how of all the anatomy and stuff. But the one thing that we always do is look at like faces and profiles of heads and stuff. So we're already pretty adept at checking out facial features. So at the very least, we could start sketching furry heads, and we'll get into it. Okay, so here I have my setup of what I would start with. When you're drawing furry heads, typically, at least in my commission work, you're going to be starting with a reference sheet. So here is my personal, kind of old, but still useful furry reference sheet that I made back in 2018. And I really just kind of threw together whatever I liked at the time. So yeah, this is the design I went with and the colors that I went with. But here we can just focus on, you can see like there are 3 different profiles I have of just my furry face, like my character's face. So we have sort of this 2/3 over here, somewhat of an onward like profile shot, and then lastly like a silhouette, nice side profile. So we can look at this and just try to absorb what are some of the main features of my character. And as you can see, like starting off with species, it's a dog. Like I'm a dog, so we can just focus on like sort of the canine anatomy and just figure out the main features of a dog. It's not. I'm not. I hope I don't try to make anything more complicated than it needs to be. But yeah. So more importantly, I figure that it's important to just know what kind of creature you're gonna be drawing. No matter what the head is, like you need to just have a certain base in mind for what you're going to be drawing. So like you have some of these main features here, like the ears. Oh, that's not a good color. Okay, wait. There we go. So we have ears, we have booper, we have floofy hair, and just I don't know. That's kind of the stuff that goes through my brain when I start looking at those features. Just trying to pinpoint exactly what makes a dog. So here, let's try to see if we can start already by taking our reference and just focus on like maybe a cutesy expression or just like a simple face to start off with, if my program will let me. So let's see. And again, like start however you want with eyes, nose, face, or whatever, but I'll just like to do a simple, typical circle for the head, and then we can build off of that. So what kind of face should we go for? The important thing to keep in mind is not to just copy. We're not trying to just copy that face. We want to make something new with this. So if you want to go for like maybe some kind of angry face or something, maybe we can do like a grumpy face. I think that'll be a good way to start. I don't draw too many grumpy faces. So we'll just see if we can make something new from this already existing profile. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of just do the boring stuff and just figure out like what's my silhouette, like what are the large features of my character. And I can already tell like there are some floofy cheeks here, and I think I'll add some ears already. I want to just get that canine features kind of down. Let's see here. So I have the headset already. And since we're gonna go with grumpy, let's just write grumpy just to make sure that I have that in mind. So if this turns out bad, he'll be well justified in his emotions. It's like, oh, why'd you make me look so bad? But that's the thing too. I'm not trying to worry too much about making this look good or anything. I just wanna just kind of have fun and just warm up and take this as an opportunity to really educate myself about what it is that I think about when I draw. So I already see that like I'm gonna start making a muzzle, just adding like some plain dog features here, and you can see that you know, typically my brain just goes to this 2/3 profile, similar to what I'm looking at already, but I want to make sure that when I think of something grumpy, I'm kind of like thinking about my own face. I have, you know, very tense brow features. I've got this kind of squished nose ridge, and I just want to try and capture that in the Sona. So let's see. Maybe the mouth is sort of, the lips are sort of pursed in a way that makes him look kind of more angry than grumpy. I wouldn't want to really mess with him. So yeah, let's just, maybe he's got like a bit of side eye happening here. So I'm gonna try and just do the eyelashes and just kind of give him a like I don't care attitude. You know, he's just looking to the side. He's not even like caring about what's in front of him, just on the side though. Just like, whatever, man. I'm too cool for school. Just the lips, and yeah, starting to slowly come together. And the tricky part is always trying to get the muzzle to have a little bit of depth to it. So I like to make sure that like when you have overlapping forms, this muzzle is somewhat protruding from the face. So our faces are kind of flat. We're like pugs of the dog world for humans. So we want a longer muzzle. So when you think of an overlapping form, you can have a little bit of this like, I guess you could say like that where the chin meets the neck. It'll just ever so slightly be tapering over this neck area. So this form is over this form. And we can sort of just try to figure that out as we go. I'm not liking too much yet, so I'll be erasing here and there, and I'll try to just figure out what's really taking shape as we go along. So don't think of anything that you put down as like a permanent marker that you can't erase. If your brain starts suddenly like thinking of something cooler or something, just put it down and just let it continually evolve. So yeah, if I go quiet, sometimes I'm trying to just focus and I might get lost in the drawing, and I think that's like a really beautiful spot to be in. So I'll try to make sure if I edit this video, I'll keep it kind of short and concise to the juicy bits. So let's see, focusing on that. I like to give him a little bit of those tick marks on the sort of where the brow is meeting that nose bridge. It's showing that it's like really scrunched up, and giving him a little bit of the, what do you call that? That eyebrow line here. Oh, he's looking pretty sassy though, I will admit. Got some nostrils over here. And don't be afraid to move the canvas too. Sometimes I get caught up in just staying in the same position and I get very just stiff, and I gotta move around the canvas, even flipping it. So use my hotkeys, flip it, see what looks good from a different angle, figure out what works. I can focus on some of the ears here. I like to put a little bit of the floofy tufts of fur just at the points where a lot of the fur from different portions of the face start to blend together, and then they create this little points and stuff. If you look at, like, you know, I have my own dog and stuff, so I look at Luna, and her fur like flows in certain directions, and when different flows meet, they sort of make these little waves of just tufts of fur. So it typically happens around like the ears, or where there's some fur like meeting inside of the ear too. And I like to put these little markers here of where the fluff is inside of the ear too. So all these things contribute to, like, you know, just dog features. I'm gonna do some on the cheeks. Continuing with overlapping forms, I want to try and figure out where the jawline is too. So put a little jawline there. And sometimes I feel like having the circle as a base is helping me keep in frame where the head is, where the cranium specifically is, and then I could build off of that. Maybe have a little bit of a snaggly tooth here, because my character does actually have a snaggle tooth. It's hard to see because I have to update the sketch, but yeah, he does have a snaggle tooth. I thought that was really cute. So just gonna kind of get a little bit more confident here, and I'm going to just darken the parts that I know that I'm going to keep in the sketch for later. So I also know that I have a super cool mohawk, and I really do. I don't know if that's a mohawk exactly. Is it more of like a faux hawk? Because it's not like full mohawk because I still have fur around it. I don't know. But yeah, I can start just figuring out where that floofy mohawk is gonna lie. And one thing that I had to really understand is that when I'm drawing different larger forms, it's okay to cover other portions of the character. Like, so the ears behind what I just outlined for the hair over here, and it's gonna obviously block it, but that's okay. We figured out where these things are gonna be in the space. So that's just one thing I wanted to keep in mind. Maybe I can define the brow ridge over here. Make it a little bit more floofy. Let's see. I know that the muzzles on dogs also tend to curl up a bit or over the lip here, and you kind of have like these three different forms on the muzzle that just go around and give it more of like a bulbousy feel. So yeah, let's try to see if we can define some of those features. Yeah, it's coming together. And even following the line that I made originally helps figure out the planes of the face. So you can see like this was sort of a center follow through line of the face, but I kind of imagine it as the face of the forehead, and then it'll meet the plane of the muzzle. So you can kind of see like this avatar arrow bending across the form. And I like to keep that in mind for context for like a more three-dimensional muzzle. Okay, so yeah, we'll just still kind of roam around the piece. I don't have like landmarks that I typically hit first, but I'll just kind of figure out, go back and forth about the features that I want in my avatar to show. So we'll cheat a little bit, and we'll even go a little bit further down the Sona, and we'll add the neck. And if you notice on dogs too, they have very, at least for my dog, she's a Husky Shiba mix, they have very chunky necks. Like her leash would barely fit on her, a typical leash. So we use a whole body harness to walk her. And I think body harnesses are more comfortable for dogs anyway. So we'll just go with that. So, oh yeah, I have to also remember he's grumpy. So I'll try to get that eye in there. And the eyeball is just slightly covered by the brow because he's giving you that kind of downward up look. So, yeah. And I'm also going to be continuing some of the fur patterns down here that follow down the neck. And yeah, we'll just briefly throw in like a collarbone collarbone, yeah, clavicles, yeah. All that anatomy knowledge. And even though I'm not going to be coloring this just now, this is just for a sketch, I just want to figure out some of the points that I would color in the future. So here I have the brows, but I like to put little Mame Shiba bean brows on my Sona these days. That's why I have to update my my ref. But I have these little brows that I would make tan later on that I could then paint over on the lines. And speaking of features, my Sona proudly dons triangles, just little triangles that sort of point to the eyes, and I really like that feature. I think it's like more captivating. Yeah. And then you can kind of see like where the brow here on my Sona. Let's try to pull this up closer. Where the orange meets the brown and the brown meets the lighter tan color. I try to mark all those features on the sketch before I start painting. So I'll just do that following this chin line we made earlier. And yeah, we'll paint that all in later. But this is just for the sake of starting off trying to draw a furry head. Yes. And as I'm going to, I'm just going to be cleaning up the lines for anything that's going to be covered. I can sort of touch up and get rid of those structure lines that we don't need anymore because we're thinking about further things. But I kind of like sometimes in manga they leave those features that kind of show through the hair. I don't know why they do that, but it has a pretty cool effect, so I think we'll keep it like that. So you can kind of see just a little bit of the ears over the hair. And I think I overshot the hair a little bit, so I want to try and redo that. So I'll just redo the hair. I'm always conflicted on how long I want to make the faux hawk. Sometimes I like it to be short and a little bit more spiky. Other times I make it more flowy and somewhat curly. So it always varies. But here I am just still darkening things that I think I'll keep in the future and that I'm more confident about as I get into the sketch. So you can make the eyes a little bit more darker, and the eyes are a huge communicator and are a big focus for headshots. It's what your personal eyes are going to be looking at most often. So we can just go in and just sort of detail that up. So it's got that really stern, giving you stink eye. I don't want to mess with this dog. But maybe he's got a little bit of an attitude, or he just woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning. Didn't have a good doggy nap. So still trying to just figure out the pattern around the eyes. Yeah, just give it a little bit more dimension. And I like to put, this is sort of just like a wonderful way to add depth that's very quick. So under the neck, you'll see a lot more depth if you just add a bit of shadow down here. So you can already see that it's popping off of the page a lot more quickly now that we added that shadow under the chin and on the neck. So if you look at a lot of manga too, like they always have a little bit under the chin too. It's a really simple way to just make it pop out. So I'll kind of just rotate it, see how it's looking from all the different angles. And this is just a warm-up, so I'm not trying to make a Picasso here or anything. Just want to figure out, what my Sona looks like for the 100th time. Yeah. Darken some features, give it some of those doggy spots that are on the muzzle. I like putting those on. Maybe the placement of the nose is a little off, so I want to try and fix that. I'll take just my lasso tool and I'll just move it a little bit. And then I'll just take the whole thing sometimes too, and I'll just try to warp it a little bit to different shapes that I like. I don't think that there's any harm really in figuring out a different sort of angle. Just small adjustments. That's all it takes. Okay. And we can darken some of those features. So, and then often too, I'll use a thicker brush, and then when I'm sort of refining and I get more of the shapes that I want, I will just start using a thinner brush. And that thinner brush just lets me add a little bit more detail and just, I would say like a little, like nicer strokes to the piece that really do add a lot of nice detailed features that you can't really get with the large brush. So I'm just going around darkening, seeing what works. Yeah. Then I'll erase a little bit. You can kind of sculpt when you erase, and that's a whole nother video for another day, but yeah, just trying to push and figure out what forms are staying or leaving is really kind of chill. Just want to figure out what it is that I'm trying to refine. Actually, I don't really like the ear in there, so I'll just totally cover it. So yeah, just figuring out what's going where. But I'll keep the ear behind here because it's just going to be poking out on the other end. So always got his ears. And let's see. Erase some more of the structure lines. Give it a little bit more floof on the neck because it kind of gives it like a little nice accent where it tapers off on the neck. And sorry, I keep putting my palm on the. I even have a wrist guard, but every time I put it on the tablet too, it'll just totally shift it. So yeah, my bad. So he's grumpy. Maybe he's got a little bit of like blep going on here too. I don't know. Just kind of got a little bit of sass. Eyelids over here. And yeah, you can just really go ham on all the details if you just keep pushing it. But this is just a little sketch, and I feel like it's already to a pretty comfortable level so far. At least to start off with, right? So this is what I'll sometimes do just before commissions. Just try to draw a nice little Sona or take somebody's from Twitter and then just practice on that. And try to just work with Photoshop. Sometimes it's just hard if Photoshop won't even start. It's like, oh, here's 10 updates that you missed overnight, and you're gonna have to wait 20 more minutes before you can start work. It's like, okay. So I want to work on giving my hair on my characters too a little bit more flair. So I'm trying to figure out like what really gives it more form, and I have to look at some more YouTube videos on how to do that. I watched a couple before, but not everything, really makes sense to me, and I'm a really slow learner, so I'm trying to just do my best here. Yeah, but I would say that that's okay for now. It's a very serviceable sketch, and then if I wanted to paint this, I think this is very workable. I could definitely paint over this and do an underpaint, and then just have a nice thick line to work with and start just molding that. But hey, this is my Sona Grumpy. So thanks for watching, guys. Oh, actually, no. We're going to adjust some things, and I'm going to show how absolutely like monotonous changing some things could be, but I'll even go in, and then after I zoom out, I'm looking at some of the features and I'm like, maybe I could shift this up just a bit more, and I'll just start shifting more and more of the muzzle and stuff until I get just the right proportions. And this is the sort of nitty-gritty thing that you'll just build up after you keep drawing, and you'll see like what really is working and what needs some adjustment and some love. So I feel like it's still not done yet, but I can still do better, and that's the part that you have to work on balancing until you're done. It's a never-ending cycle, and I'm pretty much rambling at this point, but I feel like there could just be a little bit more, and I keep telling myself that, even though I should stop. But there we go. We'll define a little bit more of the shoulder with the fur here, and I think that is a usable furry sketch of a head. And I went from pretty cute and innocent to grumpy boy. I think yeah, he don't look too happy, so yeah, we'll just go with that. And this was by me, so when you want to finish off a piece of art, you should always sign it and give it a little date so we know when you drew it. So thanks, guys, for watching my first attempt at a sort of tutorial video with live drawing. I want to get better at this too, so thanks for you guys' time, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and keep drawing. Bye.